coaches being targeted. I've seen some media commentary. As the captain, where do you stand on it? Do you feel sorry for Simo? Has he got your support? Can you just elaborate on where we're at in that situation from your perspective?
Yeah, the group's completely behind Simo and he's not out there playing. So as a member and a leader of the group that was out there on the weekend, that wasn't acceptable. We're clearly frustrated and we understand why our fans and supporters are frustrated as well, so we're owning that. And we've just got to get back to work and get better. Like, we've got a game in 5 days' time and everyone in these 4 walls has Simo's back, and as I said, it's disappointing how we performed on the weekend, and we've got to own that on the chin, and as a leader I've got to own that as well. Coming back into the side and didn't perform at the level I'd like to as well, so I'd definitely take some of the onus for that as well on the weekend.
What does the response look like, Oscar?
The response is pretty much about how we can play our brand of footy. Like, we played this team Melbourne 8 weeks ago, and that was by far the best game that we've played in a long period of time, and it was based around the contest, being tough around the ball and winning it and getting the game played in our forward half. And clearly I think we had 30 inside 50s, conceded 60 against. That's not what we did on the weekend. So that's a challenge for us internally the next 5 days. How can we get the group in a mind space and a frame to move forward? Really disappointing on the weekend. But as I said, we've got a game in 5 days' time and then move past that. How can we get us all performing at the highest level we can? Because the side we had out on the weekend was probably on paper the best side we've had so far this year, and that's probably the other disappointing aspect of the weekend as well.
Is it clear what your brand is? Because the performance out there on the weekend would just sort of say that maybe it's not.
Yeah, I think every team at their worst, it doesn't look like anything of the brand that they want to put out. And our brand, we've been pretty open with it all year. We want to focus on our contest, pressure, play in front of our footy. And clearly at the moment, it's probably a little bit aspirational, right? We are not a consistent football club right now, and the gaps between our best and our worst is too far. And until we can kind of minimise that gap, we're not going to be a consistently competitive side. So that's what we're focusing on as a group. And they're the 3 key aspects we want to get better at.
So when they come for Simo, and past greats are saying he should go, why doesn't he just go up to Pikey and pull the pin? How do you feel about that? And as the face of the club and the face of the players, are you embarrassed? Because it's almost unfair, isn't it, in some ways?
Absolutely. It's completely unfair and it hurts because us as the players, we've got to own that because we're the ones that go out there and put out that performance on the weekend. Simo works as hard as anyone to make sure we've prepared as well as possible and go out to execute a game plan. And for us to be unable to do that, us as the 23 on the weekend own that. And it's a massive responsibility for us to try and make amends for it this weekend.
Why did it happen? Can you put your finger on it? It was such a poor. It probably was 100-pointer really in some ways, but why was it so bad, Oz, do you reckon?
It's a great question. We've just had some reviews downstairs and clearly focused around the contest and how tough we were around the ball. And going into the game, we were all really confident, had a good side out. We've historically played well at home this year, so a lot of those questions come up. Talking about our team defence as well. Like, I thought the week before against Essendon, we took some really big steps forward against a top 4 team away from home in a game which earlier in the season we'd really struggle against. So we're looking for those answers now, and the best answer I can give you is we've got to go out and train it. So we'll go out there, train hard today, train hard on Thursday, prepare as best as we can. Because with a young group, there's inconsistencies, and we know, as I said, the best and the worst is just too far apart right now.
Do you know what the match committee is trying to do, though, as the captain? Do you understand what they're trying to do with the team? Do you understand why Liam Ryan's in the middle and not one of the young guys out of the waffle? Do you understand? Because you did have the Dockers are probably the youngest team in the comp. You've probably got one of the mid-range ones, 8 premiership players, a lot of experience. Mm-hmm. Is that the way to keep going, the way the match committee's got it going now?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably something they'll deal with. Like, as a player, you're not really focused on those conversations. I'm just trying to go out there and play the best footy I can. Clearly, I didn't do that on the weekend, so I own a lot of that blame as well for how we performed. But yeah,
the coach doesn't talk to you about it. You're not sure what the match committee's up to, what the philosophy is going forward for the next couple of years, that sort of thing.
Well, I think clearly our philosophy is what can we do to get the next finals premiership side of the West Coast Eagles. So that's why different players are potentially playing in different roles. We're trying new things out, but it's a balance of we've got some senior members of the team who are still working hard to retain their spot. So it's a fine balance. You can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just say, right, we're playing all the 18-year-olds. Like, we still want to uphold a certain level of integrity within our football club and the players we pick to perform. And if you don't perform, you don't get picked. So that's how we're going heading forward.
From the availability that you did have, where does this loss sit for you over the past few years?
Yeah, I clearly said it's bloody frustrating. Like, as a playing group, we're really frustrated and disappointed with ourselves. And once again, it's the guys who were out there. It's not the staff or anyone behind the scenes. It's the 23 men that played on the weekend, and we need to own that, and we are owning that. We've had some really honest reviews downstairs, and yeah, it's any time you lose a game of footy, it hurts. But definitely on the weekend was a different level of sting, and we've had some tough days over the last couple of years. And yeah, Sunday Arvo was right up there.
He said that he doesn't think it was a lack of hunger, but you were outworked. What do you put that comment down to when he talks about outworked? Are you not fit enough, or is there an element of attitude?
It's a good question. Probably the transition contest to contest game is something we've tried to work on and focused on the last couple of years, and we've definitely shown improvements in it. With the young side as well, sometimes potentially guys not being 100% clear on when to go, when not to go becomes something that happens, and when you're uncertain in your mind, your body isn't sure what to do either. But like I said, young group, we're trying to commit to something, and this isn't just for the next 8 weeks. This is the brand of footy we want to play for 24 months, 36 months. This is the brand of footy that Collingwood, successful teams, are playing deep into finals play. Carlton, Sydney. So we're just trying to replicate. We've got to play an honest contest-to-contest brand, and unfortunately, when you play that honest brand of football, if you don't perform at the level, you get found out, and that was what happened on the weekend.
Do you have concerns for the future? I mean, you're talking about trying to create a brand and maybe sort of being a little bit inconsistent with it in order to be a destination club and attract some of these sort of senior players which you might be looking for. Do you feel as though that maybe took a bit of a hit on the weekend?
As a player, I'm not focused on that at all. I'm focused on what can I do as a leader of the footy club to get us to play well this weekend in 5 days' time, and to really put out a better performance than that. So it's the furthest thing on my mind right now as a player is what's a free agent thinking about that. I just want our playing group and us as a football club to get back to playing consistent footy. So you can't just flick your fingers together and it'll happen on the weekend. You got to work hard for it, and that's what we're trying to do as a group.
Own personal performance, you found it pretty frustrating. I mean, there was limited inside 50s for starters, but when you're a forward and you're not getting a whole lot of ball, how do you think that you can maybe get more involved in the contest and the game when you're looking forward to these next few games? Yeah,
it's a great question, because you look at inside 50s, but forwards are involved in the play up on the ground as well. So unless you're at the very top of the goal square sitting there, not many players play like that anymore. You're still involved with the play up the ground, so we've got to do a better job to help support our defence as well. Like Tom Barrass and Jeremy McGovern have been outstanding for us this year. So brave in the way they play, put their bodies on the line at every cause, and ahead of the footy, we're probably letting them down as well. So we definitely take an onus on what can we do to help the team, whether it's in transition, team defence, or generally around the ball in the contest. So they're all things we're working towards and trying to get better at training today.
As a young leader, Oscar, how do you get the players now to keep buying in? Because 8 wins in 64 games, why are they still buying in?
Well, we've kind of left the past in the past, focus on this year, and I think the reason we buy in is because we look at when you do play an honest brand of football, when you focus on your contest, you play a front half game and you bring that pressure. We've seen the outcome and the results and how positive it can be. That's what we got to go back to, and you have no choice as a player but completely commit to it. And I've got full faith in this playing group, and we've got such a young group right now. It's really formative time in their career where you want them to experience great memories on the footy field. So we're focusing on doing everything we can to make sure that happens, and we've all got to get better every day. So it's not just the young players, but me as a senior player, Tom Barrass, Jeremy McGovern, every single leader at this footy club needs to get better every day and play better on the weekend.
You said it's unfair that Simo's job is being called for, but is it really unfair, the fact that there has been so much inconsistency and it's not unheard of for a coach's job to sort of be on the line when you've had so much or so little success?
Yeah, as a player, I'm taking ownership from it, and we're taking ownership on the weekend, so it's not Simo, it's on us as a playing group.
Are the players aware that when you play badly like that, though, that they come for Simo? They say he's lost the players. I mean, that's what comes out, doesn't it? And that's whatever he thinks they're not playing for him. Are you playing for him? Do you sense? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, as I said, it bloody hurts, because we are playing for him. We're playing for the whole footy club. Like, it's not about an individual. It's about the pride of playing for the West Coast Eagles, and when you go out there with that jumper on, there's a certain responsibility that you have, and it's the same for any level of footy, no matter what club you play for. So it definitely hurts, and like I said, we've got to get better, and the only way to get better is to show up and perform in 5 days' time. So that's our sole focus as a footy club right now.
Are you happy with the way they managed you as well? Like coming straight in, obviously the second week is always the hardest. You're beaten up and you feel a bit sore, and the third one as well. Would you have preferred to be managed in a different way, come through the waffle perhaps, or you're happy with it, how it went?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how, and that's more our strength and conditioning side of things. They did an exemplary job. They've done a really great job this year in total. I think we've got a really healthy list right now, and they put all players through every rigour possible. So for me to be able to get through the last 2 weeks, but also play a really high game time. I mean, a lot of guys that come back from injury have to play limited minutes. I've been able to play a really high game time. Obviously, I was a little bit rusty the first half against Essendon, but I thought I had good impact in the second half. And then on the weekend, I was just a number of other players who didn't perform at the level. So, as I said, I'm taking onus and responsibility on that. I need to be better. But it's got nothing to do with the football club, the coaching, match committee, the strength and conditioning staff. They've done everything they can to allow me to play. And, you know, as a player, at the end of the day, I'm the one that's putting my hand up and saying, Simo, I'm ready to go. So, yeah, that's on me.
And when you hear Simo do these press conferences and he says, we're not focused on the away games, or he says, yeah, we've got a good team in on paper, but, you know, it's not as good as it seems, sort of thing. Do the players take that on board? There's some people saying if the players are hearing that going, that's giving them an out. They can go, you know what, we don't need to win away. We don't need to play that well this week because the coach says we're not ready, or, you know, we've got a good team, but we're not, the synergy's not there. Do you listen to what he says and perhaps take it on board?
Oh, I don't reckon many players listen to the coach's press conference. Like we're focused on, we've got enough things we need to focus on the weekend in terms of structurally, individually, collectively what we want as a team. Like I reckon 1 or 2 players might listen to a coach's press conference. I don't reckon many do.
What's your non-negotiables then against Melbourne when you have to prioritise it?
I think first and foremost is just our commitment to the contest. So contested ball, ground ball, clearances, we were comprehensively beaten in those areas. And if you want to compete at AFL level, like you look at any team in the history of footy, if you're losing in those areas, you're going to have a really tough day. So us as a football club, that's what we're going to focus on. And then we've got to get better in our team defence as well. We've got to do what we can to support our back line, because I feel like at times we're probably leaving them out to dry a little bit, and we take for granted how good Tom Brass and Jeremy McGovern and Tom Cole and a lot of those guys in the back line are playing. So we've got a responsibility to help them out as well.
Have you touched base with Jeremy? I mean, he had such an integral role in the game over the weekend, didn't finish it off just with the hand there. Have you seen him? How's he tracking along?
Yeah, good. He's been in at training and come to all of our meetings, so he seems to be going well. I'm not too sure. We actually haven't gone out on the track yet, so I'll see how he looks today. But I think our injury report gets posted later this afternoon, so I'm not really privy to those details. I'm just trying to figure out, well, what can we do to get better, and how do we review this game properly to give it the respect it deserves, because there were definitely some things that needed to be ironed out from the game on the weekend.
Danger. I mean, you performed one of your best games against these last time you went head to head. Do you worry that you kind of head into it with, I guess, a sense of, well, it happened before, it'll happen again, or has this been a bit of a boot up the bum, I guess, against Hawthorn to make sure that you approach it with the right manner?
Yeah, I think the weekend is a prime example. If you don't go out there with the proper intent to compete and win a game of AFL football, you will get blown off the park. So that's how we're going over this weekend. We're going to go over with the mindset of we need to be at the best we can. And it's probably a good reminder that's what you need to do every week. And every AFL club needs to do it, because the competition's so even right now. If you're a couple of % off, you can be made to look really poor. And that's what happened on the weekend.
So that given some of the individual performances that there will be changes this week?
Once again, I'm not in match committee, so Simo and the coaching staff will make those decisions. As I said, it's not just the 23, we've all got to get better. So there was some good performances on the weekend at waffle level, playing against a really good side in Swan District. So that's a pleasing aspect. A lot of those younger players are continuing to show development and get better. They're the future of our footy club. But yeah, the coach will handle those decisions.
So you're expecting a response?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. As a playing group.
It'll be really DEFCON 4 or something when you get back for the coach.
I might be too young for that. I'm not sure what that is, but assume it's not good. Yeah, absolutely. Like we owe our fans. Like 50,000 fans showed up on the weekend. And as a WA person, someone who grew up supporting West Coast, I understand how much that hurts for those people. So we're incredibly grateful to them. We let them down, and us as a playing group, we let the whole footy club down. So there definitely is a expectation and a need of a response from the playing group.
Have you seen signs that Harley's getting frustrated even, like talking to the umpires, being overly physical, that sort of thing? Does he need to be even sort of managed a bit more in terms of that?
Oh.
The frustrations of footy and the expectations and the Harley's house and all that sort of stuff?
Oh, I reckon he was pretty physical when we were playing Melbourne. He was fending off those boys, and he was...
He always goes to the fend off now, that sort of thing. Does he need to be chatted to?
He's always been a really physical player, and he plays on the edge, and that's why he's a good player. Like, he does that, Yowie does that. They're contested beasts. They're physical players. You only play the game one way. They can't turn that switch off. So that's why you love playing with them. They've got that extra X factor. So obviously he's a young developing player. Like, he's 19 years old now. He's obviously not the final product. So we have an onus as a footy club and as a playing group to keep developing him, as well as the other 20 guys we have that are under 21 years of age. Like, it's not just about Harley. We've got to develop them all to get better. But people hear his name and think, oh, he's a finished product. No,
It wasn't criticism, just like you don't want him to get suspended or whatever, or something untoward happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
We just want him to play his best footy as he can for as long as he can for this footy club. So how can we help develop him right now and keep him moving in the right direction?